about to be arriving on Jim's boat. Another lot not far behind.
Good evening, Fred.
Good evening, Mrs. Rogers.
Is that the boat?
Yes,
Oh dear, already? Have you remembered everything?
I think so. Lemons, slipsoles, cream, eggs, tomatoes, and butter. That's all, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Oh dear, so much to do, I don't know where to start. Well, no means till the morning and all these gifts arriving today.
Calm down, Ethel. Everything's shipshape now. Looks nice, don't it, Fred?
It looks neat enough for me. Kind of bare. But rich folks like places bare, it seems.
Rich folks are queer.
And it was a queer sort of gentleman who built this place. Spent a wicked lot of money on it, he did. And then he gets tired of it and puts the whole thing up for sale.
Beats me why the Owens wanted to buy it. Living on an island.
I'll get off it, Ethel, and take that stuff out into the kitchen. They'll be here any minute now.
Making that steep climb an excuse for a drink, I suppose. Like some others I know.
That'll be young Jim. I'll be getting along. There are 2 gentlemen arriving by car, I understand.
I'll be needing 5 loaves in the morning and 8 pints of milk, remember?
Right.
And don't forget to bring the oil for the engine, Fred. I'll to charge up tomorrow. I'll have the lights running low.
It was held up at the railway. It's on at the station now. I'll bring it over first thing tomorrow.
And don't forget to give a hand with the luggage, will you?
Right.
I've got to give you the list of guests, Tom.
Thanks, old girl. Doesn't look a very classy lot to me. Miss Claythorne. I bet she'll be the secretary.
Don't hold much for secretaries. Worse than hospital nurses. And there they are, putting on airs and graces and looking down at the servants.
Oh, stop browsing, Ethel, and come along to that lovely, up-to-date, expensive kitchen of yours.
Too many newfangled gadgets for my fancy.
Wonderful design, built right into the side of the cliff.
No, it was quite
It was quite. So, this is it.
How perfectly lovely.
Miss Claythorne.
You're Rogers?
Yes, good evening, miss.
Would you bring up my luggage and Captain Lombard, please?
Very good, miss.
Been here before?
No, but I've heard a lot about the place.
From Mr. and Mrs. Owen?
No, old Johnny Brewer, a pal of mine, built this house. It's a sad and poignant story.
Love story?
Yes, saddest of all. Old Johnny was a wealthy old boy. Fell in love with the famous Lily Logan. Married her, bought the island, and built the place for her.
Sounds most romantic.
Johnny thought that by cutting her off from the rest of the world, without even a telephone as a means of communication, he could hold her.
But the fair lady soon tired of her ivory tower and escaped.
Yes. Johnny went back to Wall Street, made a few more millions, and the place was sold.
And here we are.
There we are.
Well, I ought to go and find Mrs. Owen. I'm sure the others will be up to something.
Well, it would be terribly rude for you to leave me here all by myself.
Would it? Well, I wonder where she is.
She'll be along when she's ready. While we're waiting, do you think you could have a drink? I'm very dry.
Well, of course you could.
Oh, what's yours?
Oh, no, not for me, thanks. Not on duty.
A good secretary is never off duty.
Really? Now, this is exciting.
What is?
All of this. The gulls, sea air, beach. Oh, this lovely house. I'm going to enjoy myself.
I think you are. I think we both are. Here's to you. You're very lovely.
Where's Mrs. Owen?
Mr. and Miss Owen won't be down from London until tomorrow, miss. I thought you knew.
Tomorrow, but...
I have a list here of all the guests expected.
Oh.
If you'd like to have it, the second boatload is just arriving.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How awful. I do say you will be sweet and help me, won't you?
I won't move from your side.
Thank you. You know, it seems so silly to have brought just herself on the first boat, never else on the second.
That, I'm afraid, was by design, not by accident.
Design, what do you mean?
I might have suggested to the boatman that there was no need to wait for any more passengers. That and 5 shillings soon started up the engines.
You shouldn't have done that.
Not a very exciting lot, are they?
I don't know. I thought the young man was rather attractive.
Callow. Definitely callow, and very, very young.
I suppose you think a man in his 30s is more attractive.
I don't think, my darling. I know.
Wizard place you've got here.
Hello. I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen's been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
Yes. May I introduce Captain Lombard? This is Mr.
Marston, Anthony Marston.
Have a drink.
Oh, thank you.
Gin, whiskey, sherry.
Whiskey, I think. Ah, wonderful place
yes.
you've got here.
Hello. I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen's been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Say when.
Oh, Wizard. How are you?
How do you do, sir? My name's Lombard. Have a drink, Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Marston.
Ah, Mr. Marston, how are you? Pleased to meet you. Ah, thank you, Mr. Lombard. Don't mind if I do. Ah, bit of a stiff climb up here. But whew, what a view. What a height. Reminds me of South Africa, this place.
Really? What part?
Natal, Durban, you know.
Really?
Well, here's to temperance. Do you, know South Africa?
Me? No.
Well, that's where I'm from. That's my, Natal state.
Most interesting country, I should think.
Finest country in the world. Gold, silver, diamonds, oranges, everything a man could want. Talk about a land flowing with beer and skittles.
How do you do?
General Mackenzie, isn't it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen's been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow. Allow me to introduce Captain Lombard. This is Mr. Marston. And this is Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Whiskey and soda, sir.
Thanks.
Been in the service?
Formerly, King's African Rifles. Too tame for me in peacetime, I chucked it.
Pity. When?
Here's Mrs. Owen. Miss Brent, isn't it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen's been detained in London, I'm afraid.
And won't be down until tomorrow.
Indeed. Extraordinary. Did she miss the train?
Well, I expect so. But do you have something? Oh. Allow me to introduce Captain Lombard, General Mackenzie. This is Mr. Marston. You all met on the boat, I believe. And this is Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name. May I take your case?
Do let me give you a drink. Dry martini, whiskey and soda, and
I
some
never
sherry.
touch alcohol.
You never touch alcohol.
I suppose you know, young man, you left us all standing there on the wharf.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm to blame for that, Miss Brent. You see,
It seems to me most extraordinary that Mrs. Owen should not be here to receive her guests.
Well, perhaps she's the sort of person who can't help missing a train.
That's what I reckon she is.
Not at all. Mrs. Owen isn't the least like that.
Perhaps it was her husband's fault.
She hasn't got a husband. I should like to go to my room now.
Yes, sir, of course, I'll take you there.
Miss Rogers is upstairs, miss. She'll show you the room.
I'm afraid our host and hostess haven't arrived yet, sir. My name's Lombard.
Mine's Wargrave.
How do you do? How do you do? Have a drink?
Yes, please, whiskey. How are you? Davis. Davis is the name. Wonderful place you've got here. Quite unique.
As you say, quite unique.
Ah, your drink, sir.
Old Badger Berkeley rolled up yet?
Who do you say?
Badger Berkeley.
He roped me in for this show. When's he coming?
I don't think he is. No one of the name of Berkeley.
Why, the dirty old double-crosser. He let me down. Well, it is a pretty wizard island. Rather a wizard girl, that secretary. She ought to liven things up a bit. I say, old man, what about dressing for dinner if there's time?
Let's go and explore.
How wizard?
I'm afraid things are a bit 6s and 7s, but the Owen's not turning up.
Tricky, what? I say wizard place for a holiday, what?
Aren't you going to sit down?
Well, to tell you the truth, you seem to be sitting in my chair.
Oh, I am sorry. I didn't realize you were one of the family.
Well, it's not exactly that. I've never been here before. I've lived at the Benton Club for the last 10 years, and I believe my chair is right there. Can't get used to sitting anyplace else.
It becomes a bit of a habit.
Yes, it does. Thank you. You know, I was very surprised receiving the invitation. Hadn't got one of those in 4 years. Very nice of them, I thought.
Can I have your keys, sir?
Is Lady Constance Comington expected here? Can you tell me?
Lady Constance Comington? I don't think so, sir. Unless she's coming down with Mr. and Miss Owen.
Oh.
Can I have your keys, sir?
I'd rather unpack myself.
Very well. Dinner is at 8 o'clock, sir. Shall I show you your room?
Yes, please.
This way.
Here you are, sir. I'll call Rogers.
Ah, how are you? Davis. Davis is the name.
Mine's Armstrong.
Ah, Dr. Armstrong, I believe.
Yes.
So, never forget a face.
Don't tell me. I've forgotten one of my patients.
Oh, no, not that. I once saw you in court giving expert evidence.
Oh, are you interested in the law?
Well, I'm from South Africa, you see. Naturally, legal processes in this country are bound to interest the colonial.
Oh, yes, of course.
Care for a drink?
No thanks, I never touch it.
Oh, mind if I do? Mine's empty.
Not a bit.
You know, I've been having a look around this island. Nice place, isn't it?
Wonderful. I thought as I was coming across the mainland, what a haven of peace this was.
A bit too peaceful for some, I dare say.
Wonderfully restful. Wonderful for the nerves. I'm a nerve specialist, you know.
Oh, I know. Did you, come by train?
No, I motored down. Stopped in on one of my patients on the way. Great improvement, wonderful response.
Best part of 200 miles. How long did it take?
I didn't hurry. I never hurry. Bad for the nerves. That's some mannerless young fellow nearly drove me into the ditch near Amesbury. Shot past me at nearly 80 miles an hour. Disgraceful bit of driving. I'd like to have gotten his number.
Yes. And poor people will get the numbers of these young roadhogs.
Yes, if you'll excuse me, I must find Mr. Owen.
But Mr. Owen won't be coming down.
You rang, sir?
Take my hat, will you? What time's supper?
Dinner is at 8 o'clock, sir, in a quarter of an hour. I believe tonight dressing will be optional.
Good place you've got here.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Been here long?
Just under a week, sir.
Is that all? So, I take it you don't know much about this crowd that's here?
No, sir.
All old friends and a family?
I really couldn't say, sir.
Rogers,
Yes, sir.
would you mind putting some sandwiches and a bottle of beer in my room at night? I get a hell of an appetite with the sea air.
I'll see what I can do, sir.
I'll see you don't lose by it. Where is my room?
This way, sir. I'll show you.
Good. I could use a wash and a brush up straight away.
Oh, there you are, Rogers. You ought to clear up these dirty glasses. You're always leaving the dirty work for me. Here I am with a 4-course dinner on my hands, and no one to help me. You know, you might help me with the dishing up. Who was that you were talking to, by the way?
Davis, South African gentleman. No class, if you ask me, and no money either.
I don't like him. Don't like any of them much. More like that bunch we had at the boarding house, I'll say.
Davis gives out he's a millionaire or something. You should see his underwear. As cheap as they make them.
Well, it's like I said, it's not treating us right. All these visitors arriving today, and no dates till the morning. Who do they think we are?
Oh, anyway, but at least the money is good.
Well, it ought to be. Catch me going into service if the money's not good.
Well, it is good. So what are you going on about?
And let me tell you this, Rogers. I don't stay anywhere where I'll put upon. Cooking is my business, and I'm a good cook.
First rate, old girl.
But the kitchen is my place, and housework is none of my business. All these guests arriving. You know what? I've got a good mind to pick up my hat and coat and just walk out and go right back to Plymouth.
But you can't do that, old girl.
Who says I can't? Why not, I should like to know.
Because you're on an island, old girl. Had you forgotten that?
Oh, yes. I don't fancy myself living on an island.
Don't know that I do either, come to that. Or slipping down to the pub or going to the pictures. Oh, well, it's double wages on account of all the difficulties, and there's plenty of beer in the house.
That's all you ever think about is beer.
Oh, stop nagging, and you get along to the kitchen there, or your dinner will be spoiled.
Be spoiled anyways. Everyone's going to be late. Wasted anyway. It's a good thing I didn't make a souffle. Oh, this dinner will be ready in just a minute. Just a question of dishing up. Yes. Yeah.
Is everything all right, Robert? Can you manage as the two of you?
Yes, well, thank you, miss. The missus talks a lot, but she gets it done.
It's a lovely evening.
Yes, indeed. The weather seems very settled.
How plainly one can hear the sea.
A pleasant sound.
This is hardly a breath of wind. And it's deliciously warm, not like England at all.
I should have thought you might feel a little uncomfortable in that dress.
No.
It's rather tight, isn't it?
I don't think so.
You'll excuse me, my dear, but you are a young girl and you've got your living to earn.
Yes.
A well-bred woman doesn't like her secretary to appear flashy. It looks, you know, as though you were trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex.
So would you say I do attract them?
But that's beside the point. A girl who deliberately sets out to get the attention of men won't be likely to keep a job long.
Yes, well, I suppose that rather depends on who she's working for, don't you think?
Really, Miss Claythorne.
No, don't you think you're being a little unkind?
Young people nowadays behave in the most disgusting fashion.
Disgusting.
Well, yes. Low-backed evening dresses, lying about half naked on beaches, all this so-called sunbathing. An excuse for immodest conduct, nothing more. Familiarity, Christian names, drinking cocktails, and looking at the young men nowadays. Decadent. Look at that young Marston. What good is he? And that Captain Lombard.
What could you possibly object to in Captain Lombard? I should say he's a man who's led a very varied and interesting life.
The man's an adventurer. All this younger generation is no good. No good at all.
You don't like youth, I see.
What do you mean?
Oh, simply remarking you don't seem to care for young people.
And is there any reason why I should, pray?
No, it's just... Well, it seems as if you must miss out on an awful lot.
You're very impertinent.
Well, I'm sorry that's just the way I think.
The world will never improve until we stamp out immodesty.
What?
What did you say?
Nothing.
Yes, Johnny Brewer. He was a good pal of mine. What about the old boy?
He looks rather like a tortoise, don't you think
All
so?
judges look like tortoises. They have that venomous way of darting their heads back and forth. Mr. Justice Wargrave is no exception.
I hadn't realized that he was a judge.
Oh, yes. Well, he's probably been responsible for sending more innocent people to their death than anyone in all of England. Hello, you. Do you two know each other, Mr. Armstrong and Mrs. Claythorne? We were just deciding that the old boy looked a bit like a tortoise.
Yes, I heard you. And so did he, I think.
Florence.
It's Miss Brent, isn't it?
Yes. There's something I'd like to ask you. Will you step out here?
Remarkably fine night. Absolutely wizard car. A supercharged sports Barletti Carlota. You don't see many of them on the road. I can get over 100 out of her.
Did you come from London?
Yes, 208 miles, and I did it in a bit over 4 hours. Too many cars on the road, though, to keep it up. Touched 90 going over Salisbury Plain. Not too bad, eh?
I think you passed me on the road.
Oh, yes?
You nearly drove me into the ditch.
Did I? Sorry.
If I'd seen your number, I'd have reported you.
But you were footling along in the middle of the road.
Footling? Me footling?
Oh, well, how about a drink?
Good idea. Will you have one, Miss Claythorne?
Oh, no, thank you.
Good evening, Mrs. Owen.
Why, Mrs. Owen?
Well, you make a most attractive wife for any wealthy businessman.
Tell me, do you always flirt so outrageously?
Always.
Oh. Now we know.
So what was Britt talking to the judge about? She tried to buttonhole him upstairs.
I have no idea. It's funny, you know, she seems awfully certain that there isn't a Mr. Owen.
Well, you don't think that there isn't, or... I mean that they aren't,
What, married, do you mean?
Bloody shame we don't know each other. I could have given you a lift down.
Yes, that would have been grand.
Yes, I'd like to show you what I can do across Salisbury Plain. Tell you what, maybe we can drive back together.
But
It seems bloody silly. I've got an empty car.
Yes, but she likes the way she's going back, and I really don't get it.
Aren't they sweet? Then kind of soldiers. And there's a nursery rhyme too.
Talking about what soldiers, what rhyme?
Well, here, look. 10 little soldier boys went out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys travelling in Devon. One got left behind, and then there were 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, silence please. You are charged with these indictments, that you did respectively and at diverse times commit the following. Edward Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleves. William Henry Blore, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Lendor. Emily Caroline Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvy Hamilton. Phillip Lombard, that you are guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Austin, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
Take it easy. Come this way, come this way. Sit right over here.
Oh, dear.
Oh, it's okay. She'll be all right in a minute. She's just fainted. Get some brandy.
Rogers, give us some brandy.
Who was I speaking? It sounded full.
What's going on here? What kind of practical joke is that?
Where the devil is that voice coming from? Here it is.
You are charged with these indictments.
Oh, turn it off, it's horrible.
A heartless and practical, cruel joke.
So you think it's a joke, do you?
Well, what else could it be?
At the moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
Well, who the devil put it on and set it going?
We must inquire into that.
Oh, dear me.
Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, sir. If I speak to her. Ethel, it's all right, Ethel. Do you hear it's all right? Pull yourself together.
You'll be all right, Mrs. Rogers. Just a nasty turn.
Did I faint, sir?
Yes.
It was that voice, that awful voice, like a judgment.
The brandy. Where's the brandy?
Oh,
Drink, Mrs. Rogers.
I'll be all right. It just gave me a turn.
Of course it did. Gave me a turn, too. Wicked lies it was. I would like to know.
What we must know is who put that record on the gramophone. Was it you, Rogers?
I was just obeying orders.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owens.
Let me get this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what exactly?
I was to put the record on the gramophone in the study. I would find the record in the drawer in there. I was to begin with that one. I thought it was just some music for you all.
Very remarkable story.
Well, it's the truth, sir. Before heaven, it's the truth. I didn't know what it was, not for a moment. It had a name on it. I just thought it was a piece of music.
Is there a title?
The title, yes, it's entitled Swan Song.
The whole thing is preposterous. Preposterous. Slinging accusation around like this? Something must be done about it. That fellow Owen, whoever he is.
But that's just it. Who is he?
That is what we must go into very carefully. I should suggest you get your wife to bed, Rogers.
Yes,
Come
sir.
back here.
Yes, sir.
Let me give you a hand.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
Yes, she'll be quite all right. Excuse me.
I don't know about you, sir, but I feel I could use another drink.
Quite agree.
I'll get them.
Preposterous, that's what it is. It's just preposterous.
Whiskey for you, Sir Lawrence?
I should like a glass of water, please.
I'll get it for you. I could use a little whiskey myself.
She'll be all right. I've given her a sedative.
Well, I suppose you'll be wanting a drink now, Doctor?
No thanks. I never touch it.
Oh, so you said. Here, General, you have this one.
Now then, Rogers, we must get to the bottom of this. Tell us what you know about Mr. Owen.
Well, he owns the place, sir.
I'm aware of that fact. What I want you to tell me is what you know about the man personally. You yourself.
Well, you see, sir, I've never seen him.
What do you mean you haven't seen him?
I've just been here under a week, sir. My wife and I. We were engaged by letter through a registry office, the Regina in Plymouth.
Well, that's a high-class firm. We can check on that.
Have you got that letter?
The letter engaging us? Yes, sir. Here it is.
Go on with your story.
Well, just as the letter says, sir, we arrived on the 4th. Everything was real nice, plenty of food and stock, and just needed dusting and such.
What then?
Well, nothing, sir. That is, we were instructed to make the rooms ready for a house party of 8. And then by the post, I received another letter stating that Mr. and Ms. Owen might be detained. And if so, he gave us instructions about dinner and about putting on the gramophone record. Would you like to see it?
Headed Ritz Hotel and typewritten.
Coronation machine number 5. Quite new, no defects. Ensign paper, most common make. We shan't get much out of this. We could try for fingerprints, but it's been handled too much.
Quite a little detective.
He's got some fancy Christian names, hasn't he? Ulrich Norman Owen. It's quite a mouthful.
I am obliged to you, Mr. Marston. You have directed my attention to a curious and suggestive point. I think the time has come for us to pool our information. I think it would be well if everyone here were to come forward with everything they know about our unknown host. We are all his guests. I think it would be profitable if each one of us were to explain exactly how that came about.
Well, there's something very peculiar about all of this. I received a letter with a signature that was very difficult to read. It purported to be from a woman whom I had met in a certain summer resort 2 or 3 years ago. I took the name to be Ogden. I'm quite certain that I have never met or become friendly with anyone of the name Owen.
Have you got that letter, Miss Brent?
Oh, yes, I will fetch it for you.
Miss Claythorne.
I never actually met Mrs. Owen. I wanted a holiday purse, so I applied to a secretarial agency in London, Miss Grenfell's. I was offered this post and accepted.
You were never interviewed by your prospective employer?
No. But here. Here's the letter.
Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Devon. I have received your name from Miss Grenfell's agency. I understand she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay you the salary you ask and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train is the 12:10 from Paddington. You will be met at the Oak Bridge station. I enclose £5 for expenses. Yours truly, Una Nancy Owen. Mr. Marston.
I don't actually know the Owens. I got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. It surprised me a bit, because I had an idea the old horse had gone to Norway. And I haven't got the wire.
Thank you. Dr. Armstrong?
In the circumstances, I think that I may admit that my visit here was professional. Mr. Owen wrote me that he was concerned about the state of his wife's health, and, her nerves to be precise. He therefore suggested that my visit should be regarded as that of an ordinary guest.
You had no previous acquaintance with the family?
No.
You had no hesitation in obeying the summons?
A colleague of mine was mentioned, and a very handsome fee suggested. I was due for a holiday anyway.
Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at the Belhaven Guest House in August some years ago, and we seem to have so much in common. I am starting a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I think there really is an opening for a place where there's good plain English cooking and a nice old-fashioned type of person. None of this nudity and gramophones half the night. I shall be very glad if you could see your way to spending your summer holiday here on Soldier Island, as my guest, of course. I suggest August 8th, 1240 Paddington to Oak Bridge. Yours sincerely, U.N. Yes, the signature is slightly ambiguous.
I do like the nudity touch.
Well, here is my decoy letter. It's from an old friend, Lady Constance Comington. She writes in her usual vague and incoherent way, urges me to join her here, and refers to our host and hostess in the vaguest of terms.
Look, yeah, I just thought of
In a
something.
minute.
Yes, but I just...
Captain Lombard, we will take one thing at a time, if you don't mind. General Mackenzie.
Got a letter from this fellow Owen. Mentions some old cronies of mine going to be here. Hoped I'd accept the informal invitation. Haven't kept the letter, I'm afraid.
Thank you. And you, Captain Lombard.
Same sort of thing. Invitation, mentioning mutual friends. I haven't kept the letter either.
Well, just now we've had rather a disturbing occurrence. An apparently disembodied voice spoke to us all, addressing us by name, uttering certain specific accusations. We will deal with those accusations presently. At the moment, I'm interested in a minor point. Amongst the names mentioned was of William Henry Bloor. As far as we know, there is no one named Bloor amongst us. The name of Davis was not mentioned. What have you to say about that, Mr. Davis?
Cat's out of the bag, I suppose. Guess I better admit it. My name's not Davis.
You are William Henry Bloor.
That's right.
I'll add something to that. Not only are you here under a false name, but throughout the evening I've noticed, sir, that you are a first-class liar. You claim to be from Natal, South Africa. Well, I'm from Natal, and I'm prepared to swear you've never set foot there in your life.
Now you gentlemen have got me all wrong. I'm an ex-CID man.
Oh, a copper.
I've got the credentials and I can prove it. I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put onto this job.
By whom?
Mr. Owen. Sent me a very nice money order for expenses. Told me to show up at this little dinner party posing as a guest. Even sent me a list of all your names. Said I was to keep an eye on all of you.
Any reason given?
Said Mrs. Owen had got some valuable jewels. Mrs. Owen, my foot. I don't think there is any such person.
I think your conclusion is justified, Mr. Bloor. Una Nancy Owen. Ulick Norman Owen. Each time, that is to say, U.N. Owen. Or by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown.
That's fantastic, mad.
Oh, yes. I've no doubt in my mind that we have been invited here by a madman. Probably a dangerous homicidal lunatic.
Oh my God.
Whoever it is has invited us here, has taken the trouble to learn a great deal about us. A very great deal. And out of his knowledge concerning us, he has made certain definite accusations. I wish to say this. I am accused of the murder of one Edward Seaton. Well, I remember Seaton perfectly well. He came up before me for trial in June 1930. He was charged with murdering an elderly woman. He was very ably defended. He made a good impression on the jury from the witness box. Nevertheless, on the evidence, he was most certainly guilty. I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought in a verdict of guilty. In passing sentence of death, I fully concurred with this verdict. An appeal was lodged based on misdirection. The appeal was denied, and the man was duly executed. I wish to say before you all that my conscience is perfectly clear in this matter. I did my duty and nothing more. I passed sentence on a rightly convicted murderer.
Did you know Seaton at all? I mean, personally.
Certainly not. I knew nothing of Seaton previous to the trial.
Swear the old boy's lying.
The fellow's a madman. An absolute madman. Best really leave this sort of thing go unanswered. But I need to say this. There's no truth in what was said about Arthur Richmond. He was one of my officers. Sent me a reconnaissance in 1917. He was killed. I also resent the slur on my wife. Been gone these many years. Best woman in the world. Absolutely Caesar's wife.
I've just been thinking, John and Lucy Combs. It must have been a couple of kids I ran over near Cambridge. Beastly bad luck.
For them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me. But, of course you're right, sir. It was bad luck for them, too. Of course, it was pure accident. They came running after some cottage or other. I had my license suspended for a year. Beastly nuisance.
This speeding's all wrong. All wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community.
Well, I couldn't help it. It was just an accident.
An accident.
Might I say a word, sir?
Go ahead, Rogers.
There was mention made of me and Miss Rogers and of Miss Jennifer Brady. We were with Miss Brady the night she died. She was always in ill health, sir, always, from the time she came to us. On the night she died, there was a storm, and, well, the telephone was out of order, and we tried to get hold of the doctor, and we couldn't, so I went for him, sir, on foot, but he got there too late. And we had done everything possible we could for her. Devoted to her we were, sir. Anyone would tell you the same. There was never a word said against us, never a word.
Came into a nice little something at her death, I suppose, didn't you?
We were left a legacy by Miss Brady in recognition of our faithful service, and why not, I'd like to know.
What about you, Law?
What about me?
Your name was mentioned.
Ah, Lendor, you mean. That was the, London and Commercial bank robbery.
I remember that name, though it didn't come before me. Lendor was convicted on your evidence. You were the police officer in charge of the investigation.
I was, my lord.
Lendor got penal servitude for life. He died a year later in Dartmoor prison. He was a delicate man.
He was a crook. It was him who put the night watchman out, and the case was clear from the start.
You were complimented, I think, on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was just doing my duty.
It's a convenient word. Duty. What about you, Dr. Armstrong?
I'm at a complete loss to understand the matter. The name meant nothing to me. What was it? Close? Close? I really don't remember having a patient with that name, or it being connected with the death in any way. It's a complete mystery to me. Of course, it was a long time ago. Perhaps one of my operation cases in hospital. They comes too late, so many of these people. And then when the patient dies, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And then, of course, it's best to give up surgery and go in for a study of the nerves. Some, of course, give up drink.
I protest. You've got no right to insinuate such things. I never touch alcohol.
My dear boy, I never did insinuate. After all, it's only Miss Owen who knows all the facts.
Miss Claythorne?
I was nursery governess for Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer. He was forbidden from swing out too far, but one day when my attention was distracted, he started off. As soon as I saw what was happening, I started out after him, but I was too late. I couldn't get there in time.
Was there an inquest?
Yes. I was exonerated by the coroner. Child's mother didn't blame me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent?
I have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You reserve your defense.
There is no question of defense. I have always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
What a law-abiding lot we all seem to be. Myself accepted, of course.
We are waiting for your story, Captain Lombard.
I haven't got one.
What do you mean?
But I'm sorry to disappoint you all. It's just that I plead guilty. Perfectly true. I left those natives in the bush to die. Matter of self-preservation.
You abandon your men?
Not exactly the act of a proper gentleman, I'll admit, but
Self-preservation is a man's first duty. Besides, natives don't mind dying. They don't feel about it as Europeans do.
Well, our inquiry ends there. Now then, Rogers, who else is there on this island besides ourselves and you and your wife?
Nobody, sir. Nobody at all.
You're quite sure of that?
Yes, sir.
Don't go, Rogers. I am not yet clear as to the purpose our unknown host has in summoning us here. But he may be dangerous. He may be mad in the accepted sense of the word. I think it would be well if we left here as soon as possible. I think we should leave tonight.
Pardon me, sir, but there's no boat on the island.
No boat at all?
No, sir.
Telephone the mainland.
There's no telephone either. Fred Narracott, he comes every morning. He brings the papers and the post, the bread and the milk, and he takes the orders.
It's a bit unsporting. We ought to ferret out the mystery before we go. It's like a real detective story. Positively thrilling.
At my time of life, sir, I have no desire for thrills.
The legal life is narrowing. I'm all for crime. Here's to it. Excuse me.
Oh my God!
My God, he's dead.
Dead? You mean he just choked and died?
You can call it choking if you'd like. He died of asphyxiation right enough.
Never knew a person could die from choking fit.
In the middle of life, we are in death.
A person doesn't die of a mere choking fit, General Mackenzie. Marston's death isn't what we call a natural death.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, cyanide by the smell of it. Probably potassium cyanide. It acts pretty well instantaneously.
Well, then he must have put the stuff in the drink himself.
Suicide, eh? Well, that's a wrong go.
But you wouldn't think he would commit suicide. He was so full of life, he was enjoying himself.
Oh, look! Here's one of the little soldiers off the mantelpiece. Broken.
Oh, there's no sign of the boat yet.
It's very early still.
Oh, I know. But still, the fellow brings the bread and the milk. I'd have thought he'd have got here before this. And no sign of any breakfast. Where's that fellow Roger?
Don't let's bother about breakfast.
How's the weather looking?
Wind's freshened a bit. Rather a mackerel sky. Old fellow on the train yesterday said we were due for dirty weather. I shouldn't wonder if he wasn't right.
I wonder where that boat is at. The sooner we get off this island, the better. It's absurd now keeping a boat on the island.
No proper harbour. If a wind blew in from the southeast, a boat would be dashed to pieces against the rocks.
But a boat would always be able to make us from the mainland.
Well, no, Miss Brent. That's just what. It wouldn't.
You mean we should be cut off from the land?
Yes. Condensed milk, Rivita, tin stuff till the gale had blown itself out. But you needn't worry. Sea's only a bit choppy.
I think compared with living on an island, it's rather overrated.
I wonder if that boat is coming. It's annoying the way this house was built slap up against the cliff. You can't see the mainland until you've climbed all the way to the top. Shall we go up there again?
It's no good, Doctor. A watch pot never boils. There was no sign of a boat putting out when we were up there just now.
What can this man Narracott be doing?
They're all like that in Devon. Never hurry themselves.
And where's Rogers? He ought to be about.
If you ask me, Master Rogers was pretty badly rattled last night.
I know. Ghastly, the whole thing.
Got the wind up properly. I'd take it even better and his wife did do the old lady in.
You really think so?
I've never seen a man more scared. Guilty as hell, I should say.
Fantastic. The whole thing. Fantastic.
I say, suppose he'd opted.
Who? Rogers? But there isn't any way that he could. You just said that there's no boat on the island.
Well, I know, but I've been thinking. We only have Roger's word for it. Suppose there is one and he nipped off in it first thing.
Oh, no. He wouldn't be allowed to leave this island.
Sleep well, General?
I dreamed, yes, I dreamed.
Shouldn't wonder at that.
I dreamed of Leslie, my wife, you know.
Wish Narracott would come.
Who's Narracott?
The fellow who brought us here yesterday afternoon.
It was only yesterday.
Oh, I know how you feel. Batty gramophone records, suicide. It's almost more than a man can stand. I shan't be sorry to see the back of Soldier Island. I'll give you my word.
So you don't understand? How strange.
What's that, General?
I don't like the look of him.
I reckon young Marston's suicide must have been a pretty big shock to him. He looks years older.
Where's that poor young fellow now?
In the study. Put him there myself.
So I suppose it really was suicide.
Well, what else could it be?
Well, I don't know, but suicide,
You know, I had a funny feeling in the night. Suppose this fellow Owen is on the island. Rogers mayn't know it. Or he may have been told to say so. Pretty nasty thought, isn't it?
But would it have been possible for anybody to tamper with Marston's drink without us seeing him?
Well, it was sitting up there. Anybody could have put a dollop of cyanide in it if they wanted to.
Oh, there you are, sir. Could you come up? I've been looking all over the place for you, sir. It's my wife. Could you come upstairs and look for her, sir?
Yes, of course. Is she feeling under the weather still? You won't leave the island without me.
wish that boat would come. I hate this place.
Yes, the sooner the police have been contacted, the better.
Please.
Well, police have to be notified in the case of suicide, my dear Miss Claythorne.
Yeah, yes.
Well, what's going on here? No sign of any breakfast?
How about breakfast, General? Are you feeling hungry?
Leslie, my dear.
No, I'm Vera, Claythorne.
Oh, of course, forgive me. I took you for my wife.
Oh,
I was waiting for her, you see.
so I thought your wife was dead long ago.
Yes, I thought so too. But I was wrong. She's here on this island.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, Captain Lombard.
Morning. Seem to have overslept myself a bit. Boat arrived yet?
No.
It's a bit late, isn't it?
Yes.
Good morning, you. I say, you and I could have had a swim before breakfast. Too bad all this.
Yes. Too bad you overslept yourself.
You, must have pretty good nerves to sleep like that.
Nothing makes me lose my sleep.
Didn't dream of African natives by any chance, did you?
No. Did you dream of convicts on Dartmoor?
Look here, I don't think that's funny, Lombard.
You started it. Where's breakfast? I'm hungry.
Old domestic staff seems to have gone on strike.
Well, we can always forage for ourselves.
No, that's strange.
What is?
Do you remember we found one of these little fellows smashed last night?
Yes, that ought to leave 9.
It ought to leave 9. I'm sure there were 10 of them there when we arrived.
Well,
There are only 8.
so they are.
I think it's queer, don't you?
Probably only were 9 to begin with. We assumed there were 10 because of the rhyme. Hello, Armstrong. Everything all right?
Mrs. Rogers is dead.
No. How?
Died in her sleep. Mr. Rogers, assuming that she was still under the influence of the sleeping draught I gave her, came down without disturbing her. It lit the fire in the kitchen and then did this room. And as she hadn't appeared, went back up. Alarmed by the look of her, went hunting for me. She's been dead for about 5 hours, I should say.
What was it? Heart?
It's impossible to say. It may have been.
Well, after all, she did have a pretty big shock last night.
Yes.
She might have been poisoned, I suppose, Doctor?
It's perfectly possible.
With the same stuff as young Marston?
No, not cyanide. It would have had to been a hypnotic or narcotic. One of the barbiturates or chlorals, something like that.
You gave us some sleeping powders last night, didn't you?
Yes, I gave her a mild dose of luminol.
Didn't give her too much, did you?
Certainly not. What do you mean?
All right, no offense. I was just thinking that, well, perhaps if she'd had a weak heart, then
The
maybe...
amount I gave her could not have hurt anyone.
What exactly did happen?
Impossible to say without an autopsy.
Well, if this death had occurred in the case of one of your private patients, Doctor, what would have been your procedure?
Without any previous knowledge of the woman's state of health, I could certainly not give a certificate.
She was a very nervous-looking creature. She had a bad fright last night, perhaps with heart failure.
Well, her heart certainly failed to beat. What caused it to fail?
Conscience.
What exactly do you mean by that, Miss Brent?
Well, you all heard last night she was accused, together with her husband, of having deliberately murdered her former employer, an old lady.
And, you believe that's true, Miss Brent?
Well, certainly. You all saw her. She broke down completely and fainted. The shock of having her wickedness brought home to her was too much for her. She literally died of fear.
It's a possible theory. One cannot adopt it without a more precise knowledge of her state of health. If there was perhaps a latent cardiac weakness...
Call it, if you prefer, an act of God.
Oh, no, Miss Brent.
You regard it as impossible that a sinner should be struck down by the wrath of God? I do not.
My dear lady, in my experience of ill-doing, Providence leaves the work of conviction and chastisement to us mortals. The process is often fraught with difficulties. There are no shortcuts.
Now, let's be practical about this. What did the woman have to eat or drink last night after she went to bed?
Nothing.
Nothing at all? Not a cup of tea or a glass of water, perhaps? I bet she had a cup of tea. That sort always does.
Rogers assures me that she had nothing whatever.
He might say that.
So that's your idea?
Well, why not? You heard the accusation last night. What if it's true? Miss Brent thinks it is, for one thing. Rogers and his wife did the old lady in. Now they're feeling quite safe and happy about it.
Happy?
Well, they know they're in no immediate danger. Then, last night, some lunatic goes and spills the beans. What happens? It's the woman who cracks. Goes to pieces. Did you see him hanging around her when she was coming to? Not all husbandly solicitude. Not on your life. He was like a cat on hot bricks, and that's the position. They done a murder and got away with it. But, if it's all going to be raked up now, it's the woman who'll give away the show. She hadn't got the nerve to brazen it out. She's a living danger to her husband. That's what she is. But him, he'll go on lying till the cows come home. But he can't be so sure of her. So what does he do? He sips a nice little dollop of something into a cup of tea, after she's had it, washes the cup and saucer, then tells the doctor she ain't had nothing.
No. No, that's impossible. I mean, a man wouldn't do that, not to his wife.
You'd be surprised, Miss Claythorne, what some husbands would do.
Excuse me, miss, I'm getting on with breakfast. Not much of the hand as a cook, I'm afraid. It's lunch that's worrying me. Would cold tongue and gelatin be satisfactory? And I could manage some fried potatoes. And then there's tinned fruit and cheese and biscuits.
Yes, Rogers, that'll be fine.
Lunch? Lunch? We shan't be here for lunch. And when the hell's that boat coming?
Mr. Bloor!
What?
Pardon me, sir, but the boat won't be coming.
What?
Fred Narricott's always here before 8. Is there anything else you require, miss?
No. No, that will be fine, Rogers, thank you.
Oh, no. It's not Rogers. His wife's lying dead upstairs, and here he is, calmly making breakfast and talking about lunch. Now he tells us the boat won't be coming. How the hell does he know?
Mister, blow off!
What?
He's dazed, can't you see that? He's just carrying on as a good servant would. It's pathetic, really.
He's pulling a fast one, if you ask me.
The really significant thing is the failure of the boat to appear. It means that we have been deliberately cut off from help.
It's very little time. Very little time.
What's that, General?
Very little time. We mustn't waste time talking about things that don't matter.
Well, why do you think Narracott hasn't turned up?
I think the ubiquitous Mr. Owen has given orders.
You mean told him the whole thing's a big joke?
He'd never fall for that, would he?
Why not? Soldier Island's got a reputation for people having crazy parties. This is just another crazy idea. But Narracott knows there's plenty of food and drink on the island. Probably thinks the whole thing's a big joke.
So can't we light a bonfire at the top of the island so they'll see it?
No, that's probably been provided against. All signals are to be ignored. We're cut off, all right.
Well, can't we do something?
Yes. We can find the funny gentleman who staged this practical joke, Mr. Unknown Owen. I'll bet you anything he's still somewhere here on this island, and the sooner we get to him, the better. Because in my opinion, he's as mad as a hatter, and as dangerous as a rattlesnake.
Hardly a good simile, Captain Lombard. The rattlesnake, at least, gives warning of its approach.
Warning? My God, that's our warning. 10 little soldier boys. Well, there were 10 of us after Narracott went, right? 10 little soldier boys went out to dine. One choked his little self. Marston choked himself. And then 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself. Well, that last bit matches Mrs. Rogers quite perfectly, don't you think?
But you don't. Do you mean he intends to kill us all?
Yes, I think he does.
And each one fits with the rhyme?
No. Impossible. It's a coincidence. It's just a coincidence.
Only 8 little soldier boys left here. Suppose that's a coincidence as well. What do you think, Lowell?
I don't like it.
But there's nobody on the island.
I'm not so sure of that.
Oh, this is terrible.
None of us will leave this island.
Can't somebody shut up, Grandpa?
Don't you agree with me, Sir Lawrence? Up to a point, yes. Well, then the sooner we get to work, the better. Come on, Armstrong, come on, Blow. We'll make short work of it.
I agree. Nobody's got a revolver by any chance, do they? Suppose that's too much to hope for.
I've got one.
You, always carry one about with you?
Usually. I've been in some tight places before, you know.
Well, I don't suppose you've been in a tighter spot than you are today. If there is a homicidal maniac on this island, he'll have a whole arsenal on him. And he'll use it.
You may be wrong there, Blow. Many homicidal maniacs are quiet, unassuming people.
Delightful fellows.
You'd never guess there was anything wrong with them.
Well, if Mr. Owen turns out to be that kind, we'll leave him to you, Doctor. Now, let's make a start. I suggest Captain Lombard does the house, you and I search the island.
Right. House ought to be easy. No sliding panels or secret doors.
Mind he doesn't get you before you get in.
Oh, I'll be all right. But you two better stick together. Remember, one got left behind.
Come on, Armstrong.
Very energetic young man, Captain Lombard.
So don't you think he's right? I mean, if there is someone on the island, they'll be bound to find him. It's practically their rock.
I think this problem needs brains to solve it, rather than brawn.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sit in the sun and think, my dear young lady.
Where did I leave another stain of wool?
This is upstairs. Shall I go and fetch it for you?
No. I'll go. I know what it's likely to be.
Captain Lombard's got a revolver.
They're all wasting time.
Do you think so?
It's much better to sit here quietly and wait.
Wait for what?
The end, of course. Wish I could find Leslie.
Your wife?
Wish you'd known her. She was so pretty, so gay.
Was she?
I loved her very much. Of course, I was a lot older than she was. She was 27. Health Division was 26. He was my ADC. Leslie liked. They talked about music and plays, and she'd tease him and make fun of him, and I was extremely pleased. I thought she saw him as a mother's interest in a boy. Damn fool, wasn't I? No fool like an old fool. It was like a book on how I found out. I was in France at the time. She wrote us each letter. She put the wrong letter in the envelope, so I knew.
Oh.
It was a long time ago, my dear. But I loved her. I believed in her. I didn't say anything to him. I let it gather inside of here, a dull, murderous rage. Damned young hypocrite. I liked the boy. I trusted him.
I wonder what the others are doing.
I sent him to his death. It was quite easy then. Mistakes were made all the time. I said, I thought I lost my nerve a bit. Made a blunder. Sacrificed one of my best men. Yes, it was quite easy. Leslie never knew. I never told her that I found out. Never told her that I found out. It was like a book. Exactly like a book. But at all. It was quite easy. We went together and then on something quite the same. She died of pneumonia. She had a heart-shaped face and gray eyes and brown hair that curled.
Don't.
Yeah, I guess you could call it murder. Curious murder. I, being a law-abiding fan, didn't think so at the time. Served him damn right, I thought. But later on, well, you know, don't you?
I
You
don't.
don't seem to understand. I thought you would. I should be glad the end was coming. We all have to die, you know.
No, I don't know.
You're a pretty young woman, but you haven't got it yet. The relief, the blessed relief which comes when you know you've done it all, you don't have to carry the burden any longer.
General,
Don't talk to me that way. You don't understand. I'm going to go out here and sit and wait. Wait for my Leslie to come to me.
I'm frightened. I'm frightened.
All correct. No secret passages. One corpse.
Don't!
Say, you do look low. How about a drink to help steady your nerves?
A drink. 2 corpses in the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and all you say is have a drink. An old man going quite crackers. Have a drink. 10 people all accused of murder. Oh, that's just fine. Have a drink. Everything will just be fine as long as you have a drink.
Fine, stay thirsty.
Oh, you're nothing but an adventurer wasting your... Oh, you make me tired.
I say, you are head up, my sweet. What's the matter?
I am not your sweet.
Sorry, I rather thought you were.
Yes, well, you can think again.
Come
now. You know you don't really feel that way. You and I, we have something in common. Rogues and murderers can't fall out.
Rogues and murderers.
All right, you don't like the company of rogues and murderers, and you won't have a drink. I'll go and finish searching.
Oh, pleasant young man. I can't find it anywhere. Is anything the matter?
I'm a little worried about the cello. He really is ill, I think.
Looking out for the boat, General. His sin has found him out.
Oh, don't.
One must face facts.
Can any one of us afford to throw stones?
Even if his wife was no better than she should be, and she must have been a depraved woman, he had no right to take judgment into his own hands.
What about Beatrice Taylor?
Who?
That was the name, wasn't it?
Oh, you were referring to that absurd accusation about myself?
Yes.
Well, now that we are alone, I don't mind telling you the details of that story. It was not a subject to be discussed in front of gentlemen, so naturally I said nothing last night. Indeed, I should like for you to hear the facts. That girl, Beatrice Taylor, was in my service. I was greatly deceived in her. She had nice manners and was clean and willing. All of that was the shittest hypocrisy. She had low morals. She was disgusting. It was some time before I found out that she was what they call in trouble, and I was greatly shocked. Her parents were decent folk too, and had raised her very strictly. I'm glad to say that they did not condone her behavior.
What happened?
Well, naturally, I didn't keep her an hour under my roof. No one shall ever say that I condoned immorality.
Did she drown herself?
Yes.
How old was she?
17.
Only 17.
Old enough to know how to behave. I told her what a low, depraved thing she was. I told her that she was beyond the pale, and that no decent family would take her into their home. I told her that her child was the child of sin, and would be branded all of its life, and that the man, naturally, would never agree to marry her. I told her that I felt soiled for ever having her under my roof.
You told a girl of 17 all of that?
Yes, I'm glad to say that I broke her down utterly.
Poor little devil.
I have no patience with this indulgence towards sin.
And then I suppose you turned her out of your house?
Well, of course.
And of course you couldn't go home. What did you feel like when you found she drowned herself?
Feel like?
Well, yes, did you blame yourself?
Well, certainly not. I had nothing with which to reproach myself.
Do you know, I really believe you feel that way. That makes it even more horrible.
That girl's unbalanced. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord is known by the judgment he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hand.
Breakfast is ready.
The wicked shall be turned into hell.
Breakfast is ready.
Oh, be quiet.
Pardon me, miss, but could you tell me where the gentlemen are?
Yes, Sir Lawrence is sitting out in the sun, I believe, and Dr. Armstrong and Mr. Bloor are still searching the island. I wouldn't bother about them.
Shall not the isle shake at the sound of the fall, when the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee?
Shall we go in?
I don't feel like eating.
Breakfast is ready.
Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put off their broidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground, and shall tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee.
Reading aloud, Miss Brent?
It is my custom to read a portion of the Bible every day.
Very good habit, I'm sure.
What luck did you have?
There's no cover on the island. No caves. No one could hide anywhere.
That's right. And what about the house, Lombard?
No one. I'll stake my life there's no one in this house but ourselves. I've been over it from attic to cellar.
Breakfast is getting cold.
Breakfast! Come on, Roll, you've been yelping for breakfast ever since we got up. Let's eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die. Who knows? Perhaps even today.
You ought to be ashamed of such levity,
Come on,
Captain
General.
Lombard.
Come on, this. Breakfast, I say, sir. My God! We'll not left behind. There's a knife in Mackenzie's back.
He's dead! He's dead! But it can't be! Who could have done it? There's only us here on the island.
Exactly, my dear sir. Well, don't you realize that this clever and cunning criminal is always comfortably one stage ahead of us, that he knows exactly what we're going to do and makes his plans accordingly? There's only one place where a successful murderer could hide and have a reasonable chance of getting away with it.
One place? Where?
Here in this room. Mr. Owen is one of us.
Sir Lawrence.
Oh,
I wanted
Mr.
to get you alone. You were right in what you said this morning. This damn murderer is one of us. And I think I know which one.
Really?
Ever heard of the Lizzie Borden case in America? Old couple murdered with an axe in the middle of the morning. Only person who could have done it was the daughter, a respectable middle-aged spinster. Incredible. So incredible, she was acquitted. But they never did find any other explanation.
Then your solution to the problem is Miss Emily Brent.
I tell you, she's mad as a hatter. Religious mad. She's the one, and we must watch her.
Really? I had formed the assumption that your suspicions were in a different area.
Well, yes, but I changed my mind, and I'll tell you why. Because she's not scared, and she's the only one. Why? Well, because she knows quite well she's in no danger. Well,
I made coffee.
yes, you'd hardly believe it when you consider what a beautiful day it was this morning.
Captain Lombard and Roger's still out.
Yes, no boat would put out in this, and it couldn't land anyway.
Coffee, Miss Brent?
Allow me.
Thank you. You know, you were quite right to insist on us going in for lunch and having brandy, but I feel much better.
The court always adjourns for lunch.
Still, it's a nightmare. It seems as if it can't be true. I mean, what are we going to do about it?
Well, we must form an informal court of inquiry. Perhaps we may be able to eliminate some innocent people.
You haven't got a hunch of any kind, have you, Miss Claythorne?
Mr. Bloor, if Miss Claythorne suspects one of us three, that is rather an awkward question.
Oh, I'm sure it isn't any of you. If you ask me who I suspect, I'd say Dr. Armstrong.
Armstrong?
Well, yes. I mean, don't you see? He's had far and away the best chance to kill Mrs. Rogers. Terribly easy for him, don't you think, as a doctor to give her an overdose of sleeping stuff?
Well, yes, but someone else gave her the brandy, remember?
Her husband had the opportunity to give her a drug.
It isn't Rogers. He wouldn't have the brains to fix this stunt, nor the money. Besides, you can see he's scared stiff.
I thought it's something like a storm.
Who did you think it was? Beatrice Taylor?
No hope of rescue until this dies down. Is that coffee?
Yes.
Good. Take you to coffee now, see?
You set you straight from the day-to-day with nothing short of heroic.
Well, I do not profess to be a weather prophet, but I should say that it is very unlikely that a boat could reach us, even if it knew of our plight, under 24 hours. Even if the wind drops, the sea still has to go down.
You're awfully wet.
Is anyone a swimmer? Would it be possible for somebody to swim to the mainland?
It's over a mile. And you'd be dashed on the rocks and drowned.
How do you come?
Allow me, Miss Brent.
After dinner now.
It's terribly cold in here.
Get a fire started if you'd like, miss.
So you got a good idea.
It's a terribly sound scheme, Rogers.
Pardon me, but I want to know what's become of the top bathroom curtain.
Really, Rogers, are you going quite bats now, too?
The bathroom curtain?
Yes, sir. Scarlet oil silk. It's missing.
Has anyone seen a scarlet oil silk curtain? No? No? I'm afraid not, Rogers.
It doesn't matter, sir. Only that I just thought that it was odd.
Everything on this island is odd.
Well, I'll just go get some sticks and a few knobs of coal and get a nice fire going.
I wonder if you'd like a nice hot cup of coffee. He's awfully wet. Rogers! I say, Rogers!
What's become of Armstrong?
He went to his room to rest.
I suspect someone's batted him one by now.
I expect he had the good sense to bolt his door.
Won't be so easy now that we're all on our guard.
Mr. Bloor, I'd advise you not to be too confident. I should like shortly to propose several measures of safety, which I think we should all adopt.
Against whom?
Against each other. We are all in grave danger. Of the 10 people who came to this island, 3 are definitely cleared. There are 7 of us left. 7 little soldier boys.
One of whom is a bogus little soldier boy.
Exactly.
In spite of what Miss Claythorne said just now, I'd say that you, Sir Lawrence, and Dr. Armstrong are above suspicion. He's a well-known doctor, and you're known all over England.
Mr. Bloor, that proves nothing. Judges have gone mad before this, so have doctors. So have policemen.
Here, here. Oh, does he want some coffee?
No, he'd rather make himself a nice cup of hot tea. I wonder if we ought to take Dr. Armstrong up a cup.
No, I'll take it to him.
I'll take it. I want to change.
Yes, you ought to. You'll catch cold.
I think Dr. Armstrong might prefer to see me. He might be afraid of you, Captain Lombard. He might be afraid of your revolver.
Ah, the revolver.
Do go and change.
I wanted to have a word with you about that.
What do you want to say, Bloor?
I want to know why you brought a revolver with you on what was supposed to be a little social visit.
You do you? I've led a rather adventurous life. Got in the habit of taking a revolver about with me everywhere I go. I've been in some tight places before, and it's a very comfortable feeling to know you've got a gun handy. Don't you agree?
We don't carry them. Now I want to know the truth about this gun.
What a damn suspicious fellow you are, Bloor.
I know a fishy story when I hear
Now
one.
listen
If
here.
it's about that revolver, I'd like to hear what you've got to say.
All right. Well, I got a letter asking that I be a guest here, Mr. and Mrs. Owen. The writer said it'd be worth my while, and that I had a reputation for being a good man in a tight place. The writer said there might be some danger about, but that I'd be all right if I kept my head.
I'd never have fallen for that.
But I did.
bold back in this tame country. It was an intriguing proposition, you must admit.
Bit too vague for my liking.
That was the whole charm. It aroused my curiosity.
Curiosity killed a cat.
Yes, quite.
Do go and change, please.
I'm going, my dear, I'm going. The, maternal instinct, I believe they call it.
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, that's a tall story. If it's true, why didn't he tell it to us last night?
He may have thought that this was exactly the emergency for which he had been prepared.
Perhaps it is.
Oh, I doubt that, really. No, it was just Mr. Owen's a little bit of cheese to get him caught in the trap with the rest of us. He must have known him well enough to rely on his curiosity.
Well, if it's true, he's a wrong in that man. I wouldn't trust him a yard.
Then are you such a good judge of the truth?
We must get out of here! We must, before it's too late!
What we must not do is give away to nerves.
I'm sorry. Rather a case of physician heal thyself. But I have been overworked lately and run down.
Sleeping badly?
Yes, I've been having dreams about operations and hospitals and a knife at my throat.
Real nightmares.
Yes. Do you have a dream that you're in court sentencing a man to death?
Are you by any chance referring to a man called Edward Seton? Because I can assure you I should lose no sleep over the death of Edward Seton. Particularly brutal, cold-blooded murder. The jury liked him. They were inclined to let him off, I could tell. However, I cooked Seton's goose.
It's cold in here.
Wish Rogers would hurry up.
Yes, where is Rogers? He's been gone a long time.
They said he's got to get some sticks.
Sticks? My God, sticks!
My God!
Is one missing? Are there only 6?
There's only 5.
5.
Rogers and Lombard.
No, not Phillip.
Rogers!
Where the hell's Blower off to like a madman?
Oh, thank God.
Have you seen Rogers?
No, why should I?
2 more soldiers have gone.
2?
I thought it was you.
Well? What is it?
In the scullery.
Well, is he?
Oh, yes. He's, dead all right.
How?
With an axe. Someone must have, come up behind him whilst he was bent over in a wood box.
One dropped himself in that. And then that was it.
Stop it, Vera. Stop it! Stop it. Do you hear me? Should be all right. What's next, boys? Bees? What do they keep bees on the island? That's the next verse. 6 little soldier boys playing with a hive. Bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. Bumblebee stung one. Nothing wrong with any of us. We all look perfectly spry. Yes, of course. A hypodermic syringe.
The modern bee sting.
Well, she was sitting here. One of us. One of us.
One of us.
Which of us?
Five little soldier boys sitting in a row, watching each other, waiting for the blow. New version, up to date.
I hardly think that this is a moment for facetiousness.
Sorry, have to relieve the gloom. Damn that electric plant running down. Why don't we play a game? We'll invent one. We'll call it Suspicions. A suspects B, B suspects C, and so forth. We'll start with Blow. It's not hard to tell who Blow suspects. Sticks out a mile. I'm your fancy, aren't I, Blow?
I won't say no to that.
You're quite wrong, you know that, right? Abstract justice isn't my line. If I were going to commit murder, there'd have to be something in it for me.
All I know is you've acted suspiciously from the start. You've told two different stories. You come in with a gun, now you say you've lost it.
I have lost it!
That's a likely story.
Would you like me to say no? I suggested you should search me.
Ha! You haven't got it on you, but you know where it is.
You mean I've cached it nearby, ready for the next go?
I shouldn't be surprised.
Why don't you use your brain, Blow? If I wanted to, I could have shot the lot of you by now. Pop! 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 Pop!
But that's not the big idea.
The crazy touch. My God, man, I'm sane enough.
Even the doctor says there are some lunatics. You'd never know a lunatic. I'd say that's true enough.
We shouldn't just sit here and do nothing. There must be something. Surely there's something we can do. If we lit a bonfire.
In this weather?
The measures that we have adopted, I'm sure, will prove adequate.
We are running out of time. There's no time. We can afford it. Because we will all be dead. I'm telling you. We will all be dead. All but one of us. He'll think of something. He's thinking now.
Poor Louise. What was her name? Please? Was it nerves that made you do her in, Doctor?
No. Drink. I used to be a heavy drinker. God help me, I was drunk when I operated. Well, quite a simple operation. My hands shaking all over the place. I still remember her. A big, heavy country biker. And I killed her!
So I was right. That's how it was.
Oh, the sister knew all, but she was loyal to me, or at least to the hospital. I gave up drink. I gave it up altogether. I went in for a study of nervous diseases.
Very successfully.
Oh, one or two lucky breaks with, good results with one or two important women. They told some of their friends, and for the past year I've been so busy, I've hardly known what to do with myself. I got to the top of the tree.
And tell Mr. Unknown Owen. And down will come Cradle, doctor and all.
Will you stop with your damnable sneering and joking?
Gentlemen, please, we cannot afford to argue.
All right, I apologize.
It's this terrible inactivity that gets on my nerves.
We are adopting, I am convinced, the only measures possible. If we remain together, all within sight of one another, a repetition of the tragedies that have occurred must be impossible. We've all submitted to a search. Therefore, we know that no man is armed either with a firearm or a knife, nor has any man got cyanide or any other drug on his person. If we remain, as I say, within sight of each other, nothing can happen.
But we can't go on like this. We must have food, sleep.
That's what I say.
The murderer's only chance is to get one of us detached from the rest. So long as we prevent that, we are safe.
Safe?
You're very silent, Vera.
There isn't anything to say. Oh, what the time is. Was this awful waiting? Waiting for the hours to pass and wondering if they might be your last. What is the time?
8:30.
Not at all.
Pretty awful, this light. How are the candles holding out?
There's a whole packet of them. Storm seems to be dying down a bit. What do you think, sir?
Perhaps. We mustn't be too optimistic.
The murderer's got everything on his side. Even the weather seems to be falling in with his plans.
But what about something to eat?
I could go in the kitchen and open some tin tongue and make some coffee if you'd like. But you can stay exactly where you are. That's right, isn't it?
Not quite. You see, Miss Claythorne, might be inadvisable to eat or drink anything that you had prepared out of our sight.
Oh. You don't like me, do you?
It's not a question of likes or dislikes.
There are very few tricks that should get past you, Sir Lawrence. You know, if you won't take offense at my saying so, you, sir, are my fancy.
I think this is hardly the time, Captain Lombard, for any of us to indulge in the luxury of taking offense.
But I don't think it's blow. I could be wrong, but I can't believe is that he has enough imagination for this job. All I can say is that if you are the criminal, well, sir, I take my hat off to you for a damn fine actor.
Thank you for nothing.
I'm quite sure it's not the doctor. I don't think he's got the nerve. You've got plenty of nerve, haven't you, Vera? On the other hand, you strike me as eminently sane, therefore you'd only commit murder if you had a thoroughly good motive.
Thank you.
I've thought of something.
Splendid. Animal, vegetable, or mineral?
That man says he's a police officer, but we've no proof of that. He only said so after the gramophone record and his name had been given. And before that, he was pretending to be a South African millionaire. How do we know that the police officer is not just another impersonation? What do we know about him? Nothing. Nothing at all.
He's a policeman, all right. Look at his feet.
That's enough from you, Lombard.
Oh, by the way, Doctor, Miss Claythorne suspects you. Oh, yes, she does. Yes, she does. Haven't you seen her shoot a dirty look from time to time? It all works out quite prettily. I suspect Sir Lawrence, Blaw suspects me, Armstrong suspects Blaw. What about you, sir?
Quite early in the day, I formed a certain conclusion. It seemed to me that everything that had happened pointed quite unmistakably at one person. I am still of that opinion.
Which one?
Well, no, I don't think it would be advisable to mention names at this point.
Inadvisable in the public interest.
Exactly.
But what about the food idea?
No. No, let's stay here. We're safe here.
I can't say I'm hungry.
I'm not ravenous myself. Why don't you go out and have a guzzle by yourself, Blaw?
Tell you what, suppose I bring in a tin of biscuits.
Good idea. Say, Blaw,
Huh?
an unopened tin, Blaw? It's only the storm rattling the windows.
I wonder what happened to that curtain. The one Rogers missed.
By the wildest stretch of imagination, I can't even believe what a homicidal lunatic would want with a scarlet oil silk curtain.
Yes, but things have been disappearing. Miss Brent was missing a skein of knitting wool.
So the murderer, whoever he or she is,
is a kleptomaniac too.
How's it go? 5 little soldier boys going
in for law. One got in chancery.
Chancery? But how does that apply unless, of course...
Precisely. And that is why I am staying right here.
Yes, but I'm casting you for the role of murderer, not victim. The term can also apply to a boxer. Perhaps we'll start a free fight. That seems to let you out, my dear.
Oh, it's this awful rhyme. It keeps going round and round in my head. I think I shall remember it till I die. Mr. Blaw's been gone a long time.
I suspect the big bad wolf has got him.
Captain Lombard, I have asked you before to please refrain from your peculiar sense of humor.
Sorry, sir. I suppose it's a form of nervousness.
Search him!
Search him!
No, thank you.
Come now, you've had no dinner.
I couldn't eat anything, really.
I warn you, Law will wolf the lot.
I don't know why you need to be so funny about it. Starving ourselves won't do us any good. How are we off for cigarettes?
I haven't got any.
I'm out too. Fortunately, I'm a pipe smoker.
I've got some upstairs in my case. I could go and get them. I could do the cigarette myself. Do you all stay exactly where you are?
Not bad, these biscuits.
What are they, cheese?
Cheese and celery.
Well, that girl ought to have had some.
Her nerves are in a bad state.
I'm not sure I agree with you there, Doctor. Miss Claythorne strikes me as a very cool and resourceful young lady. Quite remarkably so.
So that's your idea. She's the guilty party?
Hardly likely. A woman.
You and I, Doctor, see women from slightly different angles.
What does everyone say to a spot of whiskey?
Good idea. Providing we tackle an unopened bottle. Vera! 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 What's going on? Vera!
Where is everybody?
Sorry.
Where are you, Vera?
Phillip, I'm here.
I'm here.
I can't see you. Where?
Come to my voice.
Oh, good.
There you are.
Why can't we have some light? You can't tell me where you are. It's all over here in the dark. You don't know where you are. You don't know where anyone is.
That damn draft on the stairs blowing all the candles out. Here, I've got a lighter.
Where is Dr. Armstrong?
I'm hunting for matches.
Never mind matches, bring more candles.
I was horrified to death. It went right down my throat.
What's it?
The window was open in my room. It blew the candle out when I opened the door. There was a strand of seaweed there. It reached out and touched my throat in the dark. I thought I was being strangled by a wet hand.
No wonder you yelled.
Well, who hung the seaweed there?
I don't know. But I promise you when I find out, he shall regret he was ever born.
Who's that?
It's all right, Miss Claythorne. It's only me.
Here we are. Who fired that shot?
Oh! He's dead! Been shot through the head!
One got in chancery and then there were four.
Miss Claythorne.
Vera?
It was you. You got me out of the way. You got me to go search for cigarettes. You hung the seaweed there. You did it. You did all of that so you could kill that helpless old man there in the dark. That's why you wanted the curtain and
Three little soldier boys sitting in a row, thinking as they guzzle who's the next to go.
Phillip.
That's all right, Miss Claythorne. I don't mind joking on a full stomach.
I must admit I was hungry. Although I don't think I shall ever fancy tinned tongue again.
Well, I was wanting that meal. I feel a new man.
Yeah, so we've been nearly 24 hours without food, and that does lower the morale.
Somehow everything seems different in the light of day.
You mustn't forget, my dear, that there is still a dangerous homicidal lunatic about the island.
Wonder why one doesn't feel jittery about it anymore.
Well, because now we know. Beyond all possible doubt who it is, don't we, Blore?
That's right.
It was the wondering before, looking at each other, suspecting which.
I said all along it was Dr. Armstrong.
Yes, you did, my dear, you did. Until, of course, you went completely bats and suspected us all.
It all seems so silly in the light of day.
Very silly.
But allowing it is Armstrong, what's happened to him?
Well, we know what he wants us to think has happened to him.
What did you find, exactly?
One shoe. Just one shoe, sitting prettily on the cliff edge. Inference, Dr. Armstrong has gone completely off his onion and committed suicide.
All very circumstantial. Even down to one little China soldier boy, broken over there.
Mr. Tate, you think that's overdoing it a bit? Any man wouldn't think of doing that if he's going to drown himself.
Quite so. We're very sure, though, he didn't drown himself. He just had to make it look as if he were the seventh victim, all according to plan.
Yes, but what if he really is dead?
A bit suspicious of death without bodies.
How extraordinary to think there are 5 dead bodies and then we've been eating tinned tongue.
The delightful feminine disregard for the facts. My dear, there are 6 dead bodies, and they're not all in there.
Oh, no, she's right. There are only 5.
What about Mrs. Rogers?
Well, I counted her. She's the 5th.
Now look here. Let's see, it was Mrs. Rogers one, and then next was Marston. After that came Mackenzie, then Rogers, then Emily Brent, and then Wargrave.
7, 8, 9. Armstrong's 10. That's right, old boy. Sorry.
I say, would it be an idea if we went and got Mrs. Rogers and shoved her in the morgue with the rest?
I'm a detective, not an undertaker.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, please stop talking about bodies. The point is, Armstrong murdered them.
You know, we ought to have realized it was Armstrong straight away.
But how do you suppose he got hold of your revolver?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Tell me exactly what happened in the night.
Well, after you threw your fit of hysterics and locked yourself in your room, well, we decided we better go to bed, so we went to bed and locked ourselves in our rooms.
It was about an hour later. I heard something pass by my door. So I went out and went to Blore's room, and he was there all right. And that's when I went to Armstrong's room, but it was empty. That's when I came to your room and told you to sit tight no matter what. And then I came downstairs, and the window next to the balcony was open, and there was my revolver lying right beside it.
Well, why the devil should Armstrong chuck the revolver away?
Don't ask me. Either an accident or he's crazy.
Where do you suppose he is?
Lurking. Somewhere, waiting to have a crack at one of us.
We'll search the house.
And walk into an ambush?
I never thought of that.
Are you quite sure you heard nothing after we went out last night?
Oh, I imagined all sorts of things. Nothing short of setting the house on fire is going to get me to unlock my door.
I see. Just thoroughly suspicious.
Well, what's the use of talking? What are we going to do about it?
My opinion? Do nothing. Sit tight and take no risks.
Look here, I want to go after this fellow.
My God, Blore, what a dog of the bulldog breed you are. I say, just between friends and without prejudice, you did go in for that little spot of perjury, didn't you?
Well, don't suppose it makes any odds now. Lindor was innocent, all right. The gang squared me, and between us, we put him away for a stretch. But mind you, I wouldn't admit it if it wasn't for the fact
You
that...
think we're all in the same boat now?
Well, I couldn't very well admit it in front of Mr. Justice Wargrave, could I?
No, hardly.
I say, that fellow Seaton, do you think he was innocent?
I'm quite sure of it. The Wargrave had some reason for wanting him out of the way. I do say, Blow, I'm glad to see you've come down off your virtuous perch. I at least hope you made a tidy bit out of it.
Nothing like what I ought to have done. They were a mean lot, that Benny gang. I got my promotion, though.
And Lindor got penal servitude and died in jail.
I couldn't know he was going to die, could I?
No, that was your bad luck.
Is, you mean?
No, I mean yours. Because as a result of that fact, you may get your life cut short unpleasantly soon.
What? Me? By Armstrong? I'll watch it.
You'll have to. Only 3 little soldier boys left up there.
Well, what about you?
I'll be all right. I've been in tighter spots than this, and I've got out of them, and I mean to get out of this one. Besides, I've still got my revolver.
Ah, yes. The revolver. Now look here. You say you found a revolver lying over there. What's to say you haven't had it all this time?
Same old gramophone record. There's no room in your head for more than one idea at a time, is there, Lowell?
No, but it's a good idea.
And you're sticking to it.
And I would have thought of a better story than that if I were you.
But I only wanted something simple that a policeman could understand.
What's wrong with the police?
Nothing, now that you've left the force.
Look here, Lombard. If you're as honest as you pretend to be...
Oh, come off it, Blaw. We're neither of us honest.
If you're telling the truth for once, you'll do the square thing and chuck that revolver down there.
No,
I've said I'll go through the house searching for Armstrong. If I'm willing to do that, will you lend me your revolver?
No, the revolver's mine. It's my revolver and I'm sticking to it.
Then you know what I'm starting to think.
You're not starting to think it. You thought it last night, and now you've gone back to your original idea, that I'm the one and only unknown Owen.
I won't contradict you.
You can think whatever you want, but I'm warning you!
You're acting like a pair of children!
Sorry, teacher.
Of course Captain Lombard isn't the unknown. The unknown Owen is Dr. Armstrong, and I've got one very good proof of it.
Yeah? What?
But think of the rhyme. 4 little soldier boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. I mean, think of the subtlety of it. A red herring. That's Dr. Armstrong's pretend suicide. But it's only a red herring, so really he isn't dead.
That's very ingenious.
To my mind, it's absolute proof. I mean, it's all mad because he's mad. He takes a queer, childish, crazy pleasure in sticking to the rhyme and making everything happen that way. Dressing up the judge. Killing Rogers while he was chopping sticks. Using a hypodermic on Miss Brett when he might just as well have drugged her. I mean, don't you see? He's got to make it all fit in.
And that might give us a pointer. Where do we go from here? 3 little soldier boys walking in the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. You'll have a job with that one. There's no zoo anywhere on this island. I say, Lombard, what about a nice bottle of beer?
Oh, Lord, do stop thinking with your stomach. It's this craving for food and drink that will be your undoing.
But there's plenty of it in the kitchen.
Yes, and if anyone wanted you out of the way, the first place they'd think putting a lethal dose would be in a nice bottle of beer.
What's that? A boat? A boat!
Blow's got his.
How?
Tripwire. Attached to the door, running to something up above.
What is he?
Yes. Crushed. Head stove in. That great bronze bear holding the cloth from the landing.
A bear. How ghastly. This is awful childishness.
What a fool Blow was.
I know it's true.
Yes. And we're going to have to be very careful of ourselves, Vera.
We shan't do it. He'll get us. We'll never get away from this island.
Yes, we will. I've never been beaten yet.
No, you should feel it. As if there's someone here now in this house watching us and waiting.
No, that's just nerves.
Then you do.
No, I don't.
Phillip, please. Please, let's get out of here anywhere. I don't care where. Perhaps there's a boat. They'll see us.
All right. We'll go to the top of the island and wait for relief to come. It's sheer cliff on the backside, and we can see if anyone approaches from the house.
Anything's better than staying here.
Won't you be awfully cold in that dress?
I'd be colder if I were dead.
Perhaps you're right. A quick reconnaissance.
Phillip, do please be careful.
I'm not Lowell. No, there's something washed up on the rocks.
What? God, it looks like a body.
You wait here. I'll go and have a look.
Armstrong's body.
It's Armstrong drowned. Washed up at high water mark.
And there's no one on the island at all.
That's right. And now we know where we are, Vera.
Now we know where we are.
A very pretty trick of yours with that wire. Quite neat. Old Wargrave always knew you were dangerous.
Well, you...
So you did drown that boy after all?
No, I didn't. Please, you must listen to me. You must believe me.
I'm listening. You better make it a good
It's
story.
not a story. I'm telling you the truth. I didn't kill that child. Someone else did.
Who?
A man. Peter's uncle. I was in love with him.
Go on. This is interesting.
Don't sneer. It was hell. Absolute hell. Peter was born after his father's death. If he'd been a girl, he would have got everything.
Well-known tale of the wicked uncle.
Yes, he was. He was wicked and I didn't know. He said he loved me, but he was too poor to marry. God, there was a rock far out that Peter was always wanting to swim to. Of course I wouldn't let him, it was dangerous, but one day I had to go back to the house with something I forgot. And by the time I got back to the beach, I looked down and I saw that Peter had started off. I knew he hadn't a chance. The current had got him already, but I flew down to the beach and I tried to go after him and Hugh stopped me. Don't be a fool, he said. I told him last he could do it.
Keep going.
He tried to stop me, but I pushed past him and I ran into the sea and I started out after Peter, but it was too late. He'd already gone.
And everything went off at the inquest. They called you a plucky girl. And of course you kept discreetly quiet about Hugh's part in the business.
Do you think anyone would have believed me? Besides, I couldn't. I really was in love with him.
Yes, well, it's a pretty story anyway. And then I suppose Hugh let you down?
Do you think I ever wanted to see him again?
You certainly are an accomplished liar, Vera.
God, can't you believe the truth when you hear it?
Who set the trap that killed Blow? It wasn't me, and Armstrong's dead. I've broken most of the commandments in my days. I'm no saint, but there's one thing I won't stand for, and that's murder.
Oh, you won't stand for murder. What about those natives you left to die in Africa?
That's so damn funny. I didn't.
What do you mean?
For once. Just once, mark you, I played the hero. I risked my life to save the lives of my men. I left them my rifle and ammunition and all the food there was. And I took a chance for the bush. By the most incredible of luck, it came off. But it wasn't in time to save my men. A rumor got round that I deliberately abandoned them. Well, there's life for you.
I do really expect me to believe that.
Blast you!
He admitted it!
Yes. I got such a kick out of watching everyone's faces.
Do you really expect me to believe a stupid lie like that?
Blast you! Blast you!
Why didn't I see it before? It's there in your face. The face of a killer.
You can't fool me any longer. Well, you cunning little
You come one step closer and I'll shoot!
You young, lovely, quite mad.
Phillip! Oh my God, Phillip!
Oh, it's all come true. My plan, my 10 little soldier boys. It's come true. Silence in the court! If there's any more noise in this court, I shall have it clear. It's all right. My dear, it's all right. Don't be frightened. This is a court of justice. You get justice here. You thought I was a ghost. You thought I was dead. Armstrong said I was dead. See, that was the clever part of my plan. Said we'd trap the murderer. We'd fix up my supposed death, so I should be free to spy on the guilty one. You know, Vera Claythorne, Armstrong thought it was an excellent plan. He met me on the cliffs last night. Suspecting nothing, I sent him over with a push. So easily. He swallowed my red herring. You know, Vera Claythorne, all my life I've wanted to take life. Yes, to take life. I've had to get what enjoyment I could out of sentencing the guilty to death, and I did enjoy that. But just wasn't enough. I wanted to do it myself. My own hands.
Oh my God.
But I'm a judge of the High Court. I've got a sense of justice. As between our sovereign lord the king and the prisoner at the bar, will you true deliverance make? Guilty, my lord.
No.
Yes,
No.
guilty.
No.
Yes, you were all guilty.
No.
The law couldn't touch you, so I had to take the law into my own hands. Anthony Marston first. Then Mrs. Rogers, barbiton in the coffee. Mackenzie stabbed. Got Rogers with an axe while he was chopping wood. Doped Emily Brent's coffee so she wouldn't feel the hypodermic. Booby trap for Blore. Blore was a fool. I always knew it would be easy to get Blore. Returning the revolver was a clever touch. It made the end interesting. I always knew that it would come down to you two, and I knew that you would suspect each other. But which one would win out? I was banking on you, my dear, the female of the species. Yes, besides, it's always more interesting to have a girl at the end. Prisoner at the bar! Have you anything to say why sentence should not be passed against you? Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, I sentence you to death!
I'm not guilty! I'm not guilty!
They all say that! You must plead not guilty. Unless, of course, you're going all out for a verdict of insanity. But you're not mad. I'm mad that you're not.
I am innocent. You must believe me. I'm telling you the truth. I never killed that child. I never wanted to kill that child. Please, you're a judge. You're supposed to know if people are innocent or guilty. I swear to you, I am telling you the truth.
So you didn't kill that little boy?
No.
That's interesting. But it hardly matters now, does it?
Oh my God, no!
Can't spoil my lovely rhyme! 10 little soldier boys. You're the last one left. One little soldier boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself. Then there were none. I must have my hanging. I must have my hanging.
Oh my God, I thought you were dead. I thought I killed you.
Well, thank God women can't shoot straight. Not straight enough, anyway.
I shall never forget this.
Yes, you shall. You know, there's another ending to that rhyme. one little soldier boy left all alone. We got married, and then there were none.